All righty. Welcome to another episode of Football Clowns Anonymous. You are tuning in with your boy Kurtis and your co-clown Ren Smith.
Skull Vikings.
You might notice something crazy going on with my head right now. Your boy is in full big goof mode. Your boy hit the 5-leg parlay to start the season. So you already know I'm going to be acting a donkey for the rest of the season. Don't listen to anything I have to say because I can't be touched right now. I've officially changed my name to the Oracle. I feel like a cult leader right now. I had 3 DK boosts to start the week. I've got the Jets in a 2-leg parlay tonight. I need them to hit plus 3.5. I'm feeling optimistic about that. Aaron Rodgers looking okay. Your boy can't be stopped right now. I'm unstoppable, Ren.
A 5-leg parlay, you say, with like plus 2,000 odds or something like that. Boosted. I'm super impressed. First of all, putting aside the roasting, super impressive stuff. Bringing it back to the roasting. Next time, say it on the pod and place it, ahead of time, and let the listeners take advantage of this good stuff. Just wakes up on a Sunday morning, third eye opens wide. Right away, first thing on Sunday morning, places and hits a 5-leg parlay, makes $100, and the listeners don't get to capitalize.
I don't control when I hear the voices when they start speaking to me. I can't turn that on and off yet. That's a power I'm working on. But man, when I was scrolling through DK and I just, this makes sense. So what it was the Titans plus 7.5. The who was it? The Vikings money line. I had the Colts plus 7.5, Jaguars plus 7.5, and the Patriots plus 10.5. And man, the Houston, the Texans Colts game and that Titans Bears game, those had me sweating. Especially when the Titans they were up 17-0 for like 3 quarters or whatever it was, and they almost blew that.
They looked amazing, and I was feeling good about your parlay, and then all of a sudden I wasn't in a real hurry. I don't know what they did, but it wasn't pretty.
And the Texans were doing Joe Mixon was out here trying his hardest to ruin my parlay, but he couldn't do it. Anthony Richardson held me down, throwing crazy bombs, 70 yards or whatever that pass was. That's probably going to be the pass of the year already. Just falling backwards, heaves it like it's a punt. And it just falls beautifully into the bread basket right in the end zone. That's the craziest throw we're going to see all year for sure.
It's amazing. That was a great game, and I think is already sort of validating our prediction early in the season, or preseason, that the AFC South is going to be must-see TV all year. The fact that we get one more matchup between those teams, let alone all the other. That was worth the price of admission already for the whole. And honestly, just the whole season so far has been just amazing. That starting with that opener with the toe tap with Isaiah Likely being the difference between winning or being the difference between tying the game with zeros on the clock kind of thing. The Packers and Eagles game from Brazil was a good game at least for most of it until Jordan Love went down. RIP. And we had some great games like the Colts and Texans yesterday. So I'm really looking forward to everything the NFL has in store for us this year.
Absolutely. How did your week treat you? How'd your week 1 go for you?
Well, my week 1 in general was okay because the Vikings surprised me, and we'll get to that.
Goat Darnold on the loose. There's a new goat in Minnesota.
I have seen this song and dance so many times before. This is the early season hype. I can't wait for the wheels to fall off. We've got the Niners and the Texans are the next 2 games. So I'll again love what I saw from them. Believe it when I see it. So obviously, that's a pleasant surprise. On the other hand, my fantasy teams, I'm technically in 5 leagues this year. One of them is a guillotine league, and I survived that one because of Jameson Williams last night. And also because one guy left CMC in tonight, didn't realize and started CMC tonight. So that is not going to help you, which is actually crazy. Briefly, how a guillotine league works for those who don't know is there's 18 people in it, and every week the lowest scorer is eliminated from the league, and so then all their players go up for to free agency and up for auction. So CMC is going to be up for auction in the first week, so that's going to be really interesting to see how that kind of plays out.
Whatever you need to spend, you max out.
We have $1,000 budget, and I'm seriously considering throwing half of it on.
You max out. You
I
gotta
don't
max out.
know if I can max out for CMC. I don't know if I can bet $1,000 my whole balance for the whole season for CMC.
Well, okay, so but it's so I was thinking about the thinking in terms of the waiver wire. So I don't know if you can max out. Like so I'm thinking like CMC is going to be on there, and then it's just going to be a bunch of scrubs. But over the course of the season, more players populate. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, no, and like Debo is also available, for example, from that team.
Right.
So it's worth considering other players too. Maybe going for the mid-tier guys, giving myself a chance because I just have to not be last for a while. But I'm on a tangent about that. The reason I brought that up is my other 4 leagues are completely in the shitter in the first week. It's very, very sad. And I'm going to have some serious repairing to do with that. But I did take advantage of some of those DraftKings boosts as well. I did hit a couple of teasers that I was excited about. I actually went 2-1 on teaser bets, so that's a net gain with that. So that was a good feeling. I didn't hit a 5-leg parlay. So, you made $100. I netted like 3, but
I tried to tell you last week, bro, go after DK hard early and coast on your winnings in the back half of the season.
That's probably fair. They're going to figure some stuff out as the season goes on.
1,000%. Yeah.
I also feel I just add just one more thing about the Vikings. I feel really good that I bet on Daniel Jones to throw over 8.5 interceptions this year because he already threw 2, one of them to my boy Harrison Smith in the first week of the season. So we're feeling good about that. Feeling good about the Falcons win under already, and feeling a little less good about the Vikings win under. We'll see how that kind of plays out.
Let's fucking go.
Very, very excited. We will lose to the Niners next week, and then everyone will be wondering which Vikings team are we going to see for the rest of the year.
We'll see.
I do not agree with your pick, sir. We're skipping ahead. Kurtis,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's absurd. So
we'll get there.
We'll get there. All right, you're driving. You're driving the boat.
Yeah.
You got to come up.
Yeah. So we're watching. We're recording during the Monday night game. It's 3 minutes till halftime. CMC surprise inactive. I've got a guy in my fantasy league, a very good friend of mine who did not realize, and I was waiting with bated breath to see if he'd realize before kickoff. He did not. So he's taking a nice goose egg in the CMC spot right now.
Why would you not be a good friend and text him, Kurtis?
No. I texted him afterward. I texted him at 8:15 to ask how he was feeling about fantasy this year, and as you can imagine, I'm sure he was thrilled to see that text and let me know about it accordingly, of course.
Absolutely. This is a total joke. You should not have let him know, but
no, never.
This is what friends do. They don't help each other out with fantasy football.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, it's been a cool game so far. Jordan Mason looks good. Aaron Rodgers has been fun to watch. The Jets O-line is still a concern. I think Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are going to have some big years if they can stay healthy, and they seem to be the focus point of this offense, which is not necessarily a concern, but I think the only other target I've seen so far is to Allen Lazard. So Garrett Wilson wheels up, Breece Hall wheels up. I suspect regardless of the outcome of this game, the Niners are probably not going to be leaving with warm fuzzies. I don't know. I'm sure if, winning heals all wounds, but it just feels a little bit, the reason why I was kind of on the Jets last week, it just kind of feels a little bit like the Bengals do. A lot of uncertainty over the course of the offseason, coming into the first game of the season with not too many reps with, a lot of core pieces. There's going to be some rust to knock off. I'm hoping they don't escape with this game with a W for Eagles playoff sake, my bet's sake, and but that's about it. I mean, other than that, I'm just hoping for some more an entertaining second half here.
Yeah, it's nice to see Aaron Rodgers, and if you'll remember, longtime listeners will remember that Aaron Rodgers was my pick of a player who I was most excited to see on a new team this year. It was kind of an asterisk because we technically saw him for 4 plays last year, but let's be real, this is our first chance to see Aaron Rodgers on a new team, and this is something that we're all excited about as an NFL fan, not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but as an NFL fan, it's exciting to watch. The Peyton Manning going to Denver thing, the Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay thing. Like, this is exciting to see. How does this person plug into, the next team? And is it, you get some kind of a temperature check of how prolific they really are. And, or was it just the system that they were in, sort of thing, that was giving them success over the course of that time? So that's really nice to see. I did take Breece Hall in a couple of fantasy leagues, and so I was excited to see him get into the end zone and see his usage going up. It wouldn't shock, or I wouldn't be too worried if it is really the Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall show for the Jets. I mean, it's kind of a Devontae Adams type setup it's a Devontae Adams and friends, basically, type of
100%.
setup for Aaron
100%.
Rodgers, which is, and he's no stranger to just having interchangeable plug and play, like okay wide receivers, and just makes, chicken salad out of nowhere. So not super surprised if they still end up doing a really good job, but I am excited to see the outcome of this game. Yeah, like Kurtis said, it's not quite halftime yet. So hopefully we don't make any crazy bold predictions about these teams, and then next week they get injured in the fourth quarter, and then we have to eat our words next week. It's the one downside of when we were recording.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so cool. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. I think we could just jump into game recaps. I'm kind of excited to talk about week 1 myself. Got to start off with we went Ravens money line. That didn't quite work out. Just the first few drives from the Ravens, man. Did you watch that game with
the first game?
Yeah, the Ravens Chiefs.
Yeah.
The flags that Ravens offensive line was getting back to back. It was tough to watch for a little bit. I mean, they got into a little bit of a groove there. Ultimately fell came a toenail short, but that's, you got to be perfect when you play the Chiefs, and I suspect there will be brighter days ahead for the Ravens. But
yeah, it was a tough loss to see that. I mean, I think that overall, I still looking back on it, don't feel bad about the bet. And honestly, that toe, and you saw actually John Harbaugh, when he thought it was a touchdown, he started motioning for 2. They were going to go to win that game, and I think that they probably would have if that toe was in. So you would have liked, from a betting standpoint, you would have liked to have seen it hit, and be kind of in the bag before that. But I do think that it still wasn't a bad play at that moment. It was an exciting game to open the season, though, and I remember, like, I really wanted to see that 2-point play and what was going to happen, but I just remember texting 30, it seems like 30 people right away, and I just said it's going to be a great season, because, man, I don't even care about these teams from a fandom standpoint, and my pulse is already quick in watching this, like, and just the excitement that I have for seeing this. I'm jumping up and down. And yeah, so that was a great way to welcome us into the season. And I'm sad to see the $5 get lit on fire, but honestly, I got way more than $5 worth of entertainment out of watching the game.
100%. And to recap, the $5 he is referring to. So we placed 2 bets last week. We had 5 on the Ravens money line, and then a $5 parlay with Atlanta -2.5 L, Cincinnati -8.5 L, Detroit -2.5. Got the W there. And I think we can be forgiven for the Bengals leg in that parlay. I mean, when we made that, we were under the impression that Jamar was playing, which he did, and we were under the impression T. Higgins was playing. Yep. And I mean, you'll notice in the Oracle's 5-legger that he made, he bet against the Bengals, and that was part of the inspiration that I had. Was the vibes from the Bengals were not great. So I, putting a little bit of money on the Patriots to cover. I'll move that line, of course, but putting them to cover that line, because it started out at 9.5, I think, earlier in the week, and it had made its way all the way down to, I think it was at 6 by game time or something like that on DK. So I felt there was a little bit of value there, and yeah,
I'll be honest. I thought you were a total moron with that leg, and I still can't believe. And I know I'm jumping ahead, but we have an opportunity to give ourselves, we have the opportunity to give ourselves a clown of the week moment. My clown of the week is the Cincinnati Bengals for losing that game. The Patriots' preseason win line was 4.5. I'm sure it'll be higher now because they got to win, but they were supposed to be easily, maybe not easily, but them or the Carolina Panthers were definitely going to be the worst team in the NFL. We saw what the Panthers did last week. That's the way the worst team in the NFL should play. That's what we expected to see from the Patriots, even without T. Higgins playing for the Bengals. So they're absolute clowns. I would say you could forgive us, but it's also kind of hard to when you miss a bet that bad, no matter what the circumstances. I mean, even T. Higgins, I don't think is enough to explain losing to a team like that at home in that game, coming off of a season with an injured quarterback who's back and fired up and ready to party.
Right. Yeah, but here we are. I mean, I was texting you and Ryan about it, and just the bad vibes were there, and I'm sure I heard something they have started terribly the past couple of years now, 3 years, however long Burrow's been a Bengal. Start 1-3, 1-4, figure it out, get into the playoffs. So par for the course here. I mean, I 100% agree. Losing to that Patriots team, low key, kind of unforgivable, but on to week 2, on to, I don't know. On to the Chiefs.
We're on to, Cincinnati is on to Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's funny to me actually, because if Cincinnati, I'm looking at these matchups in week 2, and I'm looking at the sort of the profile of the high profile matchups, and I see Cincinnati and Kansas City, and I almost just look past it because of the week 1 performance by the Bengals. We can't forget that, this is a AFC championship from a couple years ago rematch. It's 2 high caliber quarterbacks, and I'm just ready to kind of write the game off as a Chiefs beatdown of the Bengals, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's getting kind of glossed over already now.
I am ready to write it off as a beatdown of the Bengals. You prove it. Like if they're going to start off slow like this, questions of injury injury questions with their top weapons on offense, the run game looking like a shell of itself. Apparently Joe Mixon was nice. Who would have thunk it? We're going to go up against a team who beat probably the only other team that I think is seriously being talked about as a Super Bowl contender out of the AFC in the Ravens. I don't know, man. That's they might be in a world of trouble at 0-2 here in a few days.
They're gonna lose the game. It's just interesting how fast that became not a game. I guess right after the week 1 performance.
Yeah,
but anyway,
life comes at you fast in the NFL, man.
It sure does. It sure does. Yeah. I want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings, because they're actually they're a big surprise, I would say.
Do you have something you need to say to me, Ren?
No. Here's why. Because you think that you were right the whole time about Goat Darnold. What you have really said is, what if Sam Darnold is actually good? But I do have written proof that you took the Vikings season win under at 6.5 as well. So you never said that Sam Darnold was going to be good. You just said, what if he's good? You're just speculating. Now, does he look good after 1 week? Yes. Obviously, the question is still, and this is always the question about after week 1, I feel like, is this a fluke? Is the other team not what we think they are? Are the Giants really that shitty? Which is, I think, very possible.
Probably, yeah.
And so that's why there's no reason to get super excited about the Vikings. Obviously, if they want to have a chance this year, they need to look like that, and they need to compete like that against teams that are worth their salt. Yeah. Well, no, they need to look like that against bad teams, but they're going to need to win some of these games against good teams too. And until they actually play a good team, at least close, I will believe it when I see it. But it's still an exciting, as a Vikings fan myself, it's exciting. And I think it's exciting in an NFL standpoint as well, too, to kind of see a team that was supposed to be just forgotten, have a chance. And with the Jordan Love injury in the NFC North, you never know. There's room. The doors, it's not wide open, but the door may have just like horror movie creaked ajar.
Just a little.
Yeah, just like the demon at the end of the movie just pushes the door.
So you can have your little eyeball just showing right in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So that's an exciting one. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I kid about the Sam Darnold thing, but and if there was going to be a game for him to start off 12 of 12, leading a touchdown scoring drive it would be against the Giants. I am optimistic against of their chances against the Niners this upcoming week. It's spoiler alert, one of my upset pick. I think my only upset pick. I think it was slightly contingent on how they look tonight. They're looking pretty good, so we'll see. But I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I want to give you a chance to talk about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks, though. Speaking of things you actually did predict,
Baker Mayfield's that guy. This might be another. The defense is just hot dog water and made Baker look good. But I was able to catch a few of the touchdowns from the Buccaneers on red zone, and he was serving up some beautiful passes, bro. He was dotting up his receivers. It was crazy. Yeah, I think it was one to Mike Evans where it was just only Mike could get it just on I think it was a little toe tap sideline work in the end zone. I was just like, man, it just looks beautiful. And there's something about when Baker takes off for a scramble, gets like 6-7 yards, takes a hit by a linebacker, pops back up and does some goofy little celebration. I don't know what it is about that guy, man, but he's just kind of fun to watch. I liken the Buccaneers to win that division. Now, we skipped over the Panthers. The Saints might have something to say about it. Another huge question mark. The Panthers, yikes.
Bad. Very,
Yikes.
very bad. Bryce Young has done nothing to sort of quell the concerns that were there lingering at the end of last year. That team, they got completely obliterated. I mean, they gave up, it was 47-20, but I think it was like 30-0 at one point in the game.
It was
absolute dismantling.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I like your pick, and actually I followed you. So when we did that futures contest and we talked about predictions for the future before the season started, and you had the Bucks to win the division. After that podcast, I decided to throw a 5 spot on it as well at plus 320. I feel a lot better about it after watching the Falcons struggle and the Bucks kind of do their thing. I mean, I know the Saints will have something to say about it still, but a lot of confidence my confidence in that has grown substantially, I think, since preseason.
Yeah, and I think for the Falcons, your antenna are definitely up. Not the start that we were expecting or hoping for with this, air quotes, prolific offense. And it's all going to be so much better because Arthur Smith isn't here anymore. I think there might be a smidge of an asterisk to the concern in that Steelers defense is nice, bro. Like, I feel like every time I saw that game pop up on my screen, it was I thought it was a repeat of TJ Watt. I thought they were just rerunning like a sack just him being in the backfield. He was living back there rent free. Like I think it's more the Steelers defense went to work on the Falcons, and I suspect more offenses are going to look very pedestrian against that Steeler defense, as opposed to instead of hitting the panic button on Atlanta's offense. But we still wanted to see more, so show us next week. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely know what you're saying. I mean, and like I said before, the week one is always the discussion of are you that bad, or is the team you played actually that good, or are you that good, or is the team you played actually that bad? And so we need it. Week 2 is very much a prove it week, and we'll see what happens. I don't like their chances to prove it against the Eagles on, I think that's Monday Night Football, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Falcons,
is.
Falcons, yeah. Eagles. Yeah, I don't like their chances to prove it in that particular game. But I will say, Kirk Cousins did take some time to warm up in Minnesota and sort of turn into that guy for us for a while. And so, give it some time. I don't necessarily think he played horrible, but that Steelers defense, like you said, was at least for one game was very suffocating on them. So we'll see kind of how that goes. I think the Bills and Dolphins is another, I should bring this up. Another thing from week 1. Your pick of the Cardinals to beat the Bills was incorrect, but was a great pick. And I have to just tuck my tail between my legs. I was saying, you're going to have to explain this to me, sir. You are out to lunch. I was wrong. that Cardinals team could have and probably should have beat the Bills in that game.
Yeah, I think they made the mistake of trying to be a little too conservative too soon when they had their lead. I I don't know. It felt weird. Like it felt like their offense just kind of hit a wall in that second half. But so I was watching the game with my family, and the vibes were not fun. Let's just say that for Bills Nation, that first for the Bills Mafia, that first half, not great. But they pulled it out. Josh Allen did Josh Allen stuff, and they put it together. But it just definitely, I'm sure it raised a few eyebrows in the Cardinals' direction, especially with the upcoming game against the Rams that just lost Puka to IR for the next 4 weeks. So we'll see. I mean, Cooper Kupp's back to 2020 Cooper Kupp or whatever year that was when he went crazy, Triple Crown Cooper Kupp. So we're seeing that all over again. So I hesitate to bet against that, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that matchup suddenly sprung up as, like I said, the Chiefs and Bengals matchup got faded very quickly, and that Cardinals and Rams matchup got sort of elevated to very interesting status very quickly. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And actually, it's interesting. I know we'll maybe talk about this later with the betting thing, but I was looking at the Cardinals for a potential teaser. They were plus 1.5 again that game, and I looked, I don't know, 2 maybe 3 hours later, and they had moved all the way to -1. So a 2.5 point move across zero from them to being underdogs to being favored in just a couple hours. And I think maybe the Puka news probably had something to do with that, and maybe people
1,000%.
are really swinging the pendulum because of that, and probably rightfully so. But anyway, it was just an interesting note about how fast these things can kind of cycle around.
I was a little sad to miss out on that 1.5, but
got to take advantage. This is a great lesson for me: is strike when the iron is hot. If you feel something, hit it. Like it may not be there. It may not be there tomorrow. It may not be there after lunch. Like in reality, that's exactly what it was. I'm looking, and then after lunch or during lunch, I was like, I should go and hit that bet. And then, sure enough, it was gone.
Yep. All righty, man. So let's wrap up our recaps. We want to wrap up this section with our clown of the past week. Ryan, why don't you start us off? I know you kind of spoke to this earlier, but sound off, man.
Oh, I don't know if I have anything else to add to what I said earlier, but my clown of the week is the Bengals and Joe Burrow and everybody in that Cincinnati organization for not coming into a season with a lot of hype after the Burrow injury last year and playing a home game against a team with a 4.5 win expected projection and just completely falling flat and losing the game. It's unacceptable, and they should be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to have placed money, tangentially in that direction at all for them. So got nothing else to say.
I feel it, man. And mine, Voldemort, for the uninitiated, Deshaun Watson is hot dog water. What he did I understand the Cowboys got a great defense, but he is the fact that he got paid $250 million guaranteed, and he has played not enough games to A, be worth that, and B, in those games has shown definitively that Jameis Winston should be starting for the Cleveland Browns right now, but you can't make that decision because you paid that boy too much money. It's and then even today, I just saw a story popping up talking about he's being sued for sexual assault again. I'm like, bro, what are you doing, dog? What's going on, big? Clown of the week, Deshaun Watson is not even close. That's King Clown right there, bro. Pennywise. Fucking goofball, man.
Pennywise. That's a nice diss. Yeah, it's funny on the sheet here. I see you say Voldemort is hot dog water, but I still laughed almost out loud when I heard you say it. Your delivery is you are not happy with this man.
Just like, come on, dog. Come on, man. Like,
yeah.
The NFL could be a lot better if you weren't in it, bro. Just go somewhere, man. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's terrible. I do still love the fact that the Browns were favored by 2.5 points in that game. They did not deserve that, even a
No,
shred of a nothing. Like what? Who is
no,
betting on the Browns to cover that? Who is doing that to keep that line where it is? Like,
yeah.
come on,
And I
easy
really,
money.
right. And I mean, I realized I picked them to win last week, but that was a product of making a lot of chaos dart throws in week one because I don't really know what's going to happen. And when I made that pick, I thought that the Cowboys were going to be favored. I was, oh, that's an easy bet all day long.
That was an easy teaser leg for me, sitting at the 2.5.
Yeah.
I paired them
Yeah.
with the Ravens, the Cowboys, that is, with the Ravens, both at +8.5, and yeah, came through on that for sure. I should have put a substantial amount of money on that because it was just wrong from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good clown pick, I guess.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I guess too.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's dive into week 2, man. You want to, well, I guess I'll kick us off with this one. So we've got a phenomenal Thursday night game. Buffalo traveling to Miami. Both teams coming off a win. Both teams got question marks. I'm sure this will go a long way with playoff seeding. I don't even know where to begin, man. So let's dive into our predictions. I mean, I've got Buffalo winning this game 31-30. Ren's got Miami winning 27-24. We both see a high scoring game. We both are over the Vegas projected total points of 50. Obviously, we're on either sides of the spread. Miami's favored at 2.5 points. Oh man, I don't quite think that Miami should be favored against the reigning division champs, but I don't know. What are you feeling, man?
I think for me, I mean, part of it is maybe it has less to do with what I saw in week one, because I think I saw good things from both of those teams in week one. But I think it has more to do, for better or worse, with my preseason prediction that Miami was going to win that division. And I shouldn't let that ride. I shouldn't let that ride into the season like that, even though it's only been 1 week. But, you know, the game is in Miami, and you could see in the first half with the Bills, the question marks that were sort of raised against another sort of high-flying, high-scoring, I'm not going to call them a prolific offense, but they've got that kind of sort of speedy type archetype of a team. And I see this as kind of a Miami and Arizona are sort of in that, like I said, the same archetype of that team. But now you've actually got a team that's been sort of gelling together for a little bit longer in Miami. You're playing a road game. It's in the division, so you expect to see, you know, I don't think that either team should probably be favored in this game. I have the Dolphins by a field goal. It feels right to me that that's probably going to be the outcome. But I wouldn't be shocked. And actually, for what it's worth, I really do like the Bills as a teaser leg because they're sitting at +2.5. I like them to be within a score. We talked last year a whole bunch about these division games and how they always seem to be traps.
Yeah.
And this doesn't seem any different to me in that sense, where picking either team here is probably not a great move. Vegas is probably a little too far towards the Dolphins. I just picked it by 3 because that's feels like the correct total. But yeah, we'll have to see. But you've got the Bills. You've only got them by 1 point though, so you must not be feeling too confident.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember from last year, whenever I make these 1 point games, it's a lack of confidence in who I think is going to win. I suspect it'll be high scoring, probably one of those games where it comes down to who has the ball last and makes one less mistake type of thing. Both of the teams have question marks. I mean, the Bills offense, it works, but I don't know. It feels like it's kind of like a weird version of the Chiefs last year, I believe, when Mahomes really just kind of had a motley crew of receivers. It's just Josh Allen is a moose and can run at the same time, and James Cook is a dog. Like what was he averaging? Like 5 yards a carry on Sunday. I like the Bills offense. You don't like to see that defense get carved up by Kyler Murray, and you know they were doing a lot of dink and dunk type of stuff. So I wonder if I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins could go to work with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. That's a different kind of beast. So it's not one I feel great about betting on the Bills. I'm gonna bet on the Bills because I'm a homer. It's a homer pick. But if I were trying to place money, this is a game I'm staying away from. Just it's uncertainty's too high. Excuse me. And I'm just looking forward to a fun game on Thursday.
No, I think this is actually a really great matchup for Thursday Night Football from an entertainment standpoint. But I think it's worth, from a betting strategy standpoint, I have a tendency to want to try to pick which side of the spread that I would want to bet on for all of these games. But in reality, if you think the spread's the general you, not you, Kurtis, but if you think the spread's in the right spot, which I kind of think it is, or at least relatively close, run. I mean, and that's just what I'm going to do with this one too. I mean, I make these predictions. Excuse me, I should say we both make these predictions blind to the Vegas lines. And when you end up picking an outcome that is basically identical to what Vegas has without even looking at Vegas, there's not value here from a betting standpoint. From an entertainment standpoint, I am really hoping this game doesn't let me down and it's not like a 10-8 like in the trenches type of game. I want to see some fireworks in this game, and I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, from a betting standpoint, I'm running away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've got a couple others to cover here. One other really interesting game that again, we're talking about these games that are getting faded and versus, brought to light sort of. This Tampa Bay versus Detroit game, I think, could actually be really interesting, considering that, as you said, Baker Mayfield is that guy. I think the Lions are going to win this game, and they'll probably win it handedly, but it's suddenly a lot more interesting seeing what the amount of time that Baker Mayfield has been gelling with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. These guys can make some magic happen, I think. And, I know the Lions have a top to bottom, arguably the most complete team in football. You can make an argument for a couple others, but one of the most complete teams in football for sure. But Baker is, I like the comparison, or I want to make a comparison actually a little bit to Josh Allen, this moose that you say running down the field and just running over some guys. And for some of these runs, it's going to be an interesting game. I think probably more interesting than people think. What do you got for this one?
Yeah. At first, when I was making my projection, it didn't cross my mind as being an interesting game, but when you highlighted it and I was thinking about it some more, I mean, if Tampa Bay comes out here and makes this look respectable, it's going to change the tenor around their projections for the rest of the season completely. Because obviously Detroit is, a Super Bowl favorite at the moment, playoff favorite for sure, division winner favorite. Tampa Bay has kind of been a smidge of an afterthought, in favor of the Falcons. Falcons just laid an egg. If they come out and flop against the Eagles, which they're probably going to flop against the Eagles on Monday night in Philly, Tampa Bay might get a nice little stranglehold on the. I mean, obviously we still have New Orleans as well, but they're playing. Who are they playing? Dallas. So Tampa Bay might have a nice lead on the early lead in the division, and getting a win against the Detroit Lions would be massive. They've got the receivers to do it. Rashad White is okay. I mean, he works for what they're doing on offense, and that defense went to work on Jaden a little bit. Again, a long shot. I didn't pick this to be a close game, but it would be a lot of fun if it was, and if Tampa Bay could sneak out a win, that would be a great storyline to watch. That's the only reason why. Yeah.
No, it'd be amazing to watch. I like the Lions by a touchdown, which is something that the Oracle, and I'm going to just refer to the Oracle in third person because I heard you do that earlier too. There's no reason in just
I slipped that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to just we're gonna refer to the alter ego of Kurtis. That's the word I'm looking for. Just the Oracle hath spoken that the Detroit Lions are gonna win by a touchdown. That's exactly what I picked too, and that's exactly where the line is. So it's not a bettable thing for me, but it is a sneaky. I think it's an under the radar opportunity for an underdog team to come in and really make a statement, I guess.
100%.
Like you said. So we'll see if it ends up being that interesting. Maybe it'll be Detroit by 30, but I don't know. That's why you play the games.
That's right. That's right. And the other game that we talked about being just a must-watch game, Rams traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. We both picked the Cardinals to win. You have the 31-30 line, the now infamous. I don't know who's going to win, but it's going to be a high-scoring game. I've got the Cardinals winning 26-24. Pretty much the same thing, but I just got to give a little bit of love to Kyler Murray. I've been on him all off season. Well, I've been high on him for fantasy for the value of the pick that he was, but yeah, and our line is now currently incorrect. The Cardinals are now favored by 1.5. Over under 50.5 points. That's a high over under. Total there. I wouldn't. I probably not going to bet this game, but like we mentioned earlier, it's going to be a fun one to watch. I would love to see Marvin Harrison get a little bit more involved and see what that can do for the offense. James Conner, all reliable. He's going to do his thing.
He's still doing it. He doesn't age. He doesn't age.
It's crazy. I don't understand it. It's and Trey McBride, he's going to keep doing his thing, all reliable in the fourth quarter when the Cardinals were driving and they needed yards. Murray was looking at McBride, so he's not going anywhere.
This game could really be a shootout, but I don't feel enough about. I want to, but I don't feel enough about it to take an over at 50 in the NFL. I mean, I feel like in my early betting days, which is to say a couple of years ago, when I was still kind of a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and thinking, yeah, over is fun because I can cheer for lots of points. It's really hard to get to 51 points in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this game got there, but it's just such a scary proposition to take an over at that spot. But it just, like I said, these guys that you're naming on these teams, and Puka's out, so that doesn't help the total at all.
I was just going to ask, do you think that is going to limit that Rams offense at all? Because they didn't really skip a beat against a pretty decent Lions defense, so I would think they'll be okay. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose a budding star of a receiver, week one, but Cooper Kupp, we're demonstrated he's more than happy to pick up the slack there.
Yeah, it's worth a couple points, and I made my prediction, the 31-30, before I think he was guaranteed to be out. It's worth a couple points to me, but I still have an over. I would still take the over, gun to my head kind of thing, because I like what that Rams offense is doing, and they have a good running game, and I'd actually like to see Blake Corum get involved in this game too. I don't think he had a single touch in the last game, and kind of see what they have. It would be nice for the Rams to see what they have with him. But Kyren Williams was into his last season form, still in that game too. So, and Cooper Kupp, like you said, turned back the clock a couple of years in that game. And so there's no reason to suggest that, or there's no reason to believe that Rams team still can't put up a fight. Playing indoors, so you don't have to worry about weird elements, it's too early in the year probably, but that helps too. So
yeah, I think one thing that's just coming to mind is I wonder if we should start thinking about Matt Stafford in the same, wavelength or sentences like your Patrick Mahomes or your Josh Allen's, where it doesn't really matter too much how much help he has, because he kind of sort of seems to figure it out. Like Matt Stafford is maybe not so quietly recently, but he's kind of a dog. So I kind of wonder if he's just kind of cheating towards one of those trump cards. Like, it doesn't fucking matter who we've got at receiver. Like, I'm gonna make that work.
Yeah, and he has as many Super Bowls now he has as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers now too. Actually, for what it's worth. He's not. He's maybe not to that level, but he's pretty close, I would say. And he's got that. Yeah, like you said, kind of the interchangeability at receiver. Like, who's down there? I can't see his number, or I don't know who it is. Maybe I met that guy once. Yeah, chuck it up there. Just drops a dime. So, these guys, and Tom Brady did that for a long time too. He had a couple of name brand guys, but he also had just interchangeable players sometimes. Mahomes does the same thing, like you called out. And Josh Allen is you can mark my words, he's going to have a habit of doing that same exact thing this year too. With nobody there, with no Diggs, but no Diggs, no problem. in week 1. Well, maybe not no problem, but they still got to win.
They got a W. That's all that matters.
Definitely.
Yep. So we've got a couple of clown takes here. I will kick us off. Ren is a non-believer. I believe Skull Vikings. Vikings have taken this against the 49ers. What did I have this at? Where are we going?
You're
21-20.
You are incorrect. You get 1 point. That's
21-20.
No. How and why can we
Sam
believe
Darnold to Justin Jefferson for 153-2.
Brock Purdy to Debo and George Kittle, and I guess CMC might, if CMC's out, then you might look, if CMC is still out next week, you may actually
Aaron
be
Jones,
the oracle
Aaron
on this
Jones
one.
is getting the third, sir.
You may look like the oracle if CMC is still out. But let's not forget, this 49ers team can go toe-to-toe with anybody. And I think, I talked about the Lions being a really complete team. 49ers are a really complete team too. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They got a whole bunch of guys that came back. Nope, I don't see it.
They don't have Sam Darnold.
And I'm not – you can't be this high on this guy. One game. Yeah, he played good. They beat the Giants. We expect them to suck. Like, we don't expect the 49ers to suck. The 49ers
we saw last year that there were only a handful of teams that had the blueprint to beat the 49ers. Who was one of those teams, Ren? The Minnesota Vikings is the correct answer. I believe Skull Vikings, upset of the week, 21-20. Darnold.
I will be honest with you. It was kind of distant in the back of my mind, the victory from last year. I don't know if that was, I think that was an aberration. I don't even know if that was, they have the blueprint. It was Brock Purdy played a bad game that game, and it was a road game. And I think it might have also been, it might have been Monday Night Football. They were just talking about how Brock Purdy has like 1 touchdown and 6 picks on Monday Night Football in 2 games in his career. And I think one of those was last year against the Vikings, that was such a fun game. I mean, the Vikings had a shit season last year, but man, it was fun to watch them beat the 49ers.
It was marvelous.
They're not going to win.
Great doing it again.
They're not
great doing it again.
They are absolutely not doing it again. But so they're absolutely not going to do it again. But you know who is going to win this week? The Denver Broncos.
I'm ready for this shit.
This is Denver Broncos. I'm not even. You know what? I'm not even gonna leave you that satisfied with this right now.
This is ridiculous. You just saw what Bo Nix did, right, bro? I've been itching to get on you about this. You just saw how trash Bo Nix was, right?
And that's a tough defense. That's a tough defense with Pittsburgh. I think that this is an in the trenches game. Do we really believe in Justin Fields that much? Do we really think that he played that well in that game yesterday against the Atlanta Falcons? Do we? I do not. I'm saying that these are 1 week blips.
One of those teams won and the other one lost. So, I mean, Justin Fields.
You can't just say one. You can't just take 1 week and say this team won last week, so they're going to win the next 15 games.
Well, we know, like we don't need the 1 week of data argument to know that TJ Watt's going to be on that ass. Sure.
TJ Watt will be on that ass.
On that ass.
It is.
And I don't think Bo Nix is going to do well with that. He didn't do well last week against the Seahawks. What makes you think that the Denver Broncos are going to handle that Steelers defense? There's no way, bro.
He actually looked.
No way.
Bo Nix looked okay for parts of that game, and I think you've got some rust. Or not rust. Sorry, rust isn't the right word. You have some growing pains, I guess, as a rookie quarterback coming into this game. This is the first game at Mile High for him. The crowd's going to be behind him. And I want to make a statement that doesn't have to do with either of these teams. Are you ready for it? The Falcons are not good. That's my statement. So the Pittsburgh Steelers beating them is not unimpressive, but it is not the impressive thing that it looks like right now. And it's an overreaction to think that the Steelers are going to just march into Denver, which is a tough place to play for a number of reasons. One of them is crowd noise and the faithful that are there. It's also the altitude. But I just think it's wrong to think that they're going to march into that game. Now, I see it close, and both of us actually have a game in the trenches. This is we have 33 and 31 points in this game. I have the Broncos winning by 1. Kurtis has the Steelers winning by 5, and Vegas has the Steelers at 3.5, which is a tough spot. It's definitely a bad spot to take the Broncos. If you feel good about the Steelers, I would for sure take the Steelers at plus 3.5 if that number is still there. I think that's definitely a good place, because I expect it to be a low scoring game. So that lends confidence to the fact that, the range of the range of
outcomes.
Range of outcomes. Yeah, I guess the range of outcomes in a point spread, in a team spread out standpoint, is narrowed in that sense. So anyway, that's my bold prediction. I'm happy to be wrong, and I look forward to next week you just throwing me straight under the bus for it if I am wrong. But that's my hot take. We don't call it hot takes for nothing.
That's true. Placing your faith in a rookie quarterback against that Steelers defense. # hot take.
It is a hot take. I look forward to being right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Want to go ahead and get into our bets then? We got to throw together some nonsense for this week. I need to get my Oracle hat back on, because
the Oracle hat. It's a Disney character. It's the Disney character of Goofy, but you say it's the Oracle.
Oh, right.
Wild and crazy.
There we go.
I don't hate your bets. We should, I'm not trying to steal the mic from you, but we should do mine first, because yours are as the Oracle, a little bit hotter maybe of a take.
Go for it.
So I have another teaser bet that I was able to place. I wasn't able to capitalize on the Cardinals line while it was in the 1.5 range. Bills plus 8.5. They were sitting at 2.5 at least when I placed the bet. So 6-point teaser on the Bills and the Giants. We didn't talk about that game. I think the Giants are a bad football team, but division chaos and the Washington Commanders didn't necessarily give an indication that they were ready to start pounding teams yet. I expect this is a 1-score game. The Giants probably will lose, but 1-score games for the Bills and the Giants is one. We've got $2 on that. And then I decided, because I couldn't place a single teaser, I decided to take unders on a couple of different games here. The first one is Falcons and Eagles under 48. Kurtis and I both feel that it's going to be a total in the low 40s from our predictions. A little bit more smash mouth type of football game, high prolific offenses, but just probably isn't going to end up measuring up to that. You got some run heavy teams that's going to run clock a little bit more. I also took the Giants and the Commanders to be under 43.5. I think that game could easily have 12 points probably by the end of it, because these teams are the bad teams of the NFC East. And then I also took the Patriots in Seattle to be under 38, because I'm kind of a sicko. And I, for some reason, don't think that these teams are going to get there. The way that the Patriots defense stifled the Bengals is what makes me think that game could be kind of a struggle for most of it. One in which the Seahawks will probably win. But I expect that game to be a struggle for both teams. So those are my bets. I've got $1 each on all three of those unders, and then a $2 bet on the teaser leg, the teaser bet that I have.
Yeah, that under 38. I hear the logic. I'm not going to argue with you, but obviously that's probably the weak point of that parlay. Or you didn't do that as a parlay. That's singles.
Nope. Not parlays. I'm just trying to hit.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to hit 2 of those to break even.
Gotcha. Yeah. I love it. The Giants 8.5. I don't think anybody should be surprised if they win that game. I 100% agree. Division chaos going to be in full effect for that game. Just a comedy of errors. Probably going to be a shit show that the shit show that we envision. Alrighty, let's so hold on. Let me. Kurtis has a bet. Just one bet. He wants to stick with
we're making clear who's speaking right now. I love this. Oh, that's funny.
Kurtis wants to go ahead and take that Minnesota plus 7.5. Threw just a smooth little dollar on there. Nothing crazy. I gotta stand behind my bold prediction there. Okay, and then the Oracle decided to throw together a couple of bets here.
That is wild.
Oracle
Puts back on his goofy hat. For those on Spotify who aren't watching on YouTube, we have a goofy hat back on.
The Oracle put together a couple of bets that he's calling lucky sevens. So he threw together a 3-leg parlay with the Eagles covering 6.5, the Cowboys covering 6.5, and Detroit covering 6.5. All NFC teams that we expect to be in the playoffs and maybe having some Super Bowl aspirations. Same criteria on the AFC side. We got Baltimore covering the spread at 6.5, Houston at 6.5, and Kansas City at 6.5. I feel good. I feel good about both of those parlays. If both of those hit, don't tune in next week. I'm going to be obnoxious. I'm going to be out of control. If one of those hit, the Oracle is going nuts.
The Oracle is going to be a thing that we can't. It's going to be like a weed growing in the lawn of this podcast. We're not going to be able to get rid of the Oracle for the foreseeable future until the Oracle goes like 0-50. We're going to be a thorn in our side.
The Oracle is currently 1-0. It's not possible for him to go 0-50.
Oh my gosh. I still can't believe that you, or should I say the Oracle, hit a 5-leg parlay last week. That's amazing.
To start the season. And honestly, let's keep it $1.50. This is how DK gets you. You hit that one parlay, bro, and the juices are flowing. You can't be stopped. I already got a bet. I haven't got my Oracle bet in. I don't know. I don't feel super great. The reason I threw together in full transparency why I threw together these parlays is I could not come up with anything that struck me as logical to do. So I went with my hot take and threw together some stuff that would be fun to talk about on the podcast.
Illogical is definitely good podcast content, but it might actually be just stupid enough to win you money. That's kind of how. I mean, look back at week 1. There's some pretty illogical shit that went on in week 1.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So, yeah. Well, good luck to you, and good luck to the Oracle, and good luck to me. And let's hope that we have $10 on the line. So let's hope that we end up with more than $10 because last week we were in the whole $10. So let's see if we can find a way to dig ourselves out.
Yes, sir. Quick note going back to clowns of the week. I received a text from my wife, my audio engineer. She wanted to make sure that the audience was fully aware that she's bodying Ren in fantasy this week. Let's see if I can pull up the it's Ren with 71 points and my wife with 114. Nothing crazy.
I am an absolute embarrassment. I should feel bad about myself, and I do.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself, actually.
Brock Purdy, I spent $5 on him in the draft, which Kurtis was ready to throw the whole kitchen sink at me for that. I spent $6 on him, and
Goofball.
Kurtis's wife Ty got Anthony Richardson for $5. Who looks smart right now and who looks like a goofball?
Trying to tell you, dog. This is why I run Ren's dynasty team, because he can't manage it properly himself. After the Oracle took over, it looks so much better now. You got Dak instead of Justin Herbert. Jalen Warren looks like he might be a flop, and we'll see about that. David Njoku, Payne. Sorry about that one.
That's tough. That one looked like a good. I mean, short of the injury, that looks like a good play. Yeah. Because he was getting attention before he got injured.
Yeah. Glad you ignored me on Ramondre. Definitely think you should have traded Javonte. I'll take 1 out of 2 on that.
Yeah. Ramondre is remaining on my team for the moment at least.
Yeah.
I was not. No. I'm if the Patriots are competent this year, Ramondre could be a top 5 RB in fantasy this year.
Might save your season.
Possibly. Although I'm 0-1 in that one too. So you never know.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. Hashtag pain.
Jalen Hurts did all right. It's Javonte and Jalen Warren were the problem. And I played against a good team this week who, put up triple digits on me. So, I mean, I had an okay week, but it's not good enough. I would have beat a couple teams in the league, but it is interesting actually in a dynasty league how the disparity of point totals is much greater. You got these really good teams that have turned into super teams that are just putting up 120 plus every single week, and you've got these bad teams that are putting up like 90 or less every single week, like without fail. My team is one of those.
Just not a fun place to be in.
No, because you're stuck there. Because you're stuck there for
years.
You're stuck there for a long time. Yep.
Yikes! You hate to see that.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, let's hope for better in week 2.
Yep. And with that, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube. Tune in next week. We'll be recapping game 2. We'll be recapping week 2 games. Dang, I just had a meltdown there. Thank you. Going through the same shenanigans. We'll see how the Oracle does. We'll see how Ren does. We'll be cheering on the Vikings with unfiltered, unbridled confidence. Ren will be on board after the Niners win or after the Niners lose.
I will be cheering on the Vikings with unbridled confidence, or not confidence, but with unbridled ferocity, because this has been my team for the last 25 years. But that doesn't mean I believe in them. So I won't be surprised if they lose, but I will be pleasantly surprised and very happy if they do beat the 49ers next week. So I hope you're right. I genuinely hope you're right. But I think you're very wrong.
Yeah, more likely that we'll have Ren on the couch next week.
Most likely. The Vikings do this every year.
Yeah.
They get your hopes up and they crush them. It's too early for them to crush your hopes. So that is one reason why the Niners might lose this game, is because the Vikings have yet to build up enough hope yet for it to be sufficiently crushed. So I'll save it for next week.
And with that concludes our Minnesota goodbye. We'll talk to y'all next. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Talk to you next week. Skol Vikes.